Troublemaker.
Welcome to the NASDF podcast. I'm your host, Ron Platt, co-founder of the National Association for Single and Divorced Families. Our guest today is a very good friend of mine who has a survival story that needs to be shared amongst the divorce community. Lamon Wade is a sales consultant who is detailed, quick-paced, and a true team player. He is recognized for his unique ability to convince, influence, and inspire people. He's an avid storyteller, and on his time off is writing poems and creating men's jewelry. Lamon's former wife unexpectedly asked him for a divorce, and it shook his reality to the core because, as far as he knew it, they were happily married. Thanks for being with me today, Lamon. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Ron.
Yep. I do want to start by sharing that Lamon is now happily remarried, but his path to healing was quite the journey. Please share with me and my audience how this story unfolded and how you managed to get back on your feet.
Yeah, Ron, it's an interesting story, and you're right. I was completely blindsided by the request of a divorce from my previous wife. As you mentioned, I was happy, therefore I thought we were happy in the marriage. And when she asked me for a divorce, it I thought she was joking, caught me off guard, and I had to find ways to step back and give her uh, space, her own place, and I had some really good advice from a few friends, my core friends, and I went to therapy as a result of one of their suggestions. During our marriage counseling, my ex-wife mentioned that she thought I had anger management issues. So I started reading anger management books. I got a personal therapist of my own,
Well, did
and
you feel you had those management issues?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not, but I was prepared to do anything to preserve the marriage. And, it was a relationship that we'd been in for 16 years. So my mindset was, if I'm the problem, let me solve the problem and fix it.
Right.
Interesting piece, though, when I started reading the anger management books and talking to my therapist, I didn't check the boxes of a person that had anger management. I was sad and lonely toward the end of the marriage, but it wasn't anger management. But I continued to go to see my therapist, and we made breakthrough after breakthrough, and that's what really kind of helped me. It really exactly helped me on the road to recovery.
So I want to ask the question. A lot of men, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of men have a hard time asking for help. And as a masculine male, we think that we can always handle it ourselves. We've been taught as kids to just buckle up and take it under the chin and fight what you need to fight and make it happen and everything else. What brought you to the point where you said, I think this goes beyond my ability to help myself. I need to reach out to somebody else.
Great point. And I'll take you a step further on. In the African American community, males are not known for asking for help. It's viewed as weakness. We have to maintain our machismo and all of this. But what ended up happening was I hit, I guess I was addicted to my marriage and I
Mm,
hit rock bottom.
mm,
So at that point, I felt like I didn't have anything else to lose. I need to start trying things.
mhm.
And really good friend of mine who I respect terribly, she mentioned that maybe I should go talk to a professional. And I was nervous about therapy. I'd never done therapy. I didn't know what to expect. My therapist and I jest about the fact that I thought you should lay down for therapy because everything I've seen in movies and TV shows and things like that. And it was liberating for me because this was a person that had no biased opinion. Her only goal was to help me.
Mhm.
That was unique for me.
Did you feel that it was it comfortable to go to a woman versus a male therapist, or it didn't matter?
I don't think it mattered. I'm glad it was a woman. And it's not because men are not as empathetic.
Mhm,
It just, I have a strong relationship with my mom.
mhm.
So another female person of authority, if you will, I felt embraced in that.
Okay. And did any of your childhood experiences uh, come out in your marriage that you think might have inhibited your relationship with your wife, or had nothing to do with your upbringing at all?
I don't think it had anything to do with the upbringing, with
Okay.
my upbringing. No.
I mean, I know with mine, I was in a toxic relationship with somebody who loved me conditionally because that's how I was raised as a child, was with conditional love. So naturally, I go into my first long-term relationship and it just felt right, right? Until it wasn't. And when I realized, hey, what does it feel like to be loved unconditionally? That's what I needed to venture out and find out and realize that the person I was with was toxic. So that's why I asked that question is a lot of
Mhm.
times we go into relationships based on how we were raised. And if it's
Mhm.
been a toxic environment when you're being raised, you're going to go into a toxic relationship sometimes.
Right. No, I understand. No, it was not, the marriage wasn't toxic at all.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it came out, for me, it came out of the blue, and I was just, my world was literally rocked.
What did she say was the cause?
At the divorce hearing, the judge asked the question of what's the reason for this divorce, and obviously my ex-wife had filed, and she said irreconcilable differences.
Mm.
So yeah, that'll get you there. Yeah, that didn't paint me a picture, and
Right.
through therapy and through respected friends, as telling me or suggesting to me that I back off with the questions of why and how could this happen and things of that nature, targeting those at my ex-wife, just give her space. I stood down, and I thought at the hearing I would get definitive answers, and I didn't. So one of the hardest challenges for me through the process was creating my own closure. Therapy helped with that. Getting reconnected with my inner child, my inner self, helped me get to a place where I won't say it didn't matter, but it mattered less.
Mhm.
The why mattered less.
What did you discover in therapy that helped settle you down to help you realize that maybe it wasn't you and that that other person just needed to be out of the relationship?
Therapy taught me time and distance
Mm.
and meditation. Through the meditation was just be yourself, just exist, and,
Go ahead.
and let everything follow. When I say time and distance, over time, I realized I had a revelation with my therapist, and she says, "Well, have you talked to her? Do you think she's coming home?" And my response was, "I don't know if I want her to come home."
Mm.
And that was a breakthrough for me. That was one of the largest breakthroughs for me because that was the first time I said it out loud. And that was the first time that I realized that there was going to be life for me beyond this marriage, beyond this person.
Mhm. When so was the she comes home, she tells you she wants a divorce. Was there any clues or anything prior to that? Was the marriage good? You were happy? You seemed to be in love. Was she in love? I mean, what was it like prior to her coming home and saying, I want a divorce?
There were no clues that I saw. I
Mhm.
had friends and family say, I recall my sister said, "Oh, she was different at Christmas." And I thought, You're crazy. She wasn't different at Christmas."
Right.
I didn't see any clues, and I'm pretty analytical, so I go back and I replay conversations and scenarios and things of that nature. I didn't see any evidence of an upcoming divorce. I didn't see any evidence of her not being happy. For me, it was just what we had normally been doing, for the previous 15, 16 years.
Mhm. Do you see anything that you've learned from that experience? Now you've met your bride, who you've been with for what, 2 years now, I think, right?
We've been married for 3 years.
3 years. What is the difference, or how have you grown from the time that you left your former wife? What is the time span, by the way, between your divorce and now your new wife?
Let's see. I have been divorced for 20 years. My current wife and I have been together for 7 years.
Okay.
So,
In between there, you not only did therapy, you did a lot of growth How did you take a lot of that and apply it towards your new relationship?
Well, I think as a result of the divorce, I check in more.
Okay, what does that look like?
That checks the box, or it looks like me not assuming everything is okay, me asking the question.
Mm,
It's I almost feel like a doctor husband where I'm checking my wife's temperature from time to time. You
which is
know,
good.
how are you doing? How are we
Right.
doing? We'll sit down and we'll talk about the joys of your day. I want to know about the joys of your day. The negative stuff will come out anyway. I can't believe what they did to me at the office today. That type of stuff. That's always going to come out. But I want to know about the joys of the day. Did you stop at a red light and look at the landscape and see the mountains and the sky and things of that nature? Tell me what brought you joy today. And hopefully I'm one of those things.
Right, right.
And if I'm not, I got to roll my sleeves up. I have work to do.
You didn't have these check-ins with your former partner, your former wife?
No, and I won't dismiss it to being very young when we got together.
Mhm.
And I will attribute it to a lack of experience when we got together that check-ins were necessary. It's one of those things, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You just assume if everything's smooth sailing that you don't have a pitfall coming ahead of you.
Mhm. And there were no clues, nothing. It just came home, I'm done. But now, do you know, has she remarried your ex? Has she, did you keep a friendship going? What's the connection between you and your ex now?
No, there's no connection. I don't know for certain that she remarried. She sent me a friend request on social media probably about 8 years ago, and her last name was different, so I would assume she's remarried, but I didn't research it at all. I didn't respond. She made the point that in our therapy sessions, our marriage counseling sessions, that she did not want to remain friends beyond the divorce.
Wow.
So because that question was pointed directly at her, and her response was, "No, I don't want to stay friends with him." And I said, "Well, okay, so I honored that." Um, she also made an interesting point during that counseling session that the therapist says, "Well, I can see how much this man loves you."
Mhm.
She said, "I know how much he loves me. That's another reason why I can't remain friends with him."
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
So do you think there was a lot of stuff on her end that she needed to deal with that maybe she didn't feel that she was worthy of love or worthy of being loved the way you loved her? I mean, we can't really
Um,
answer that, but I'm just curious as to what your opinion might be.
no, it's a great question. I attribute it because again, as I'm analyzing everything and the coulda, shoulda, wouldas of it all,
Yeah.
the error of my ways, my participation in this piece, I thought the conclusion I came to was perhaps it was guilt
On her?
on her end. Yes,
Okay.
I can't stay friends with you
Mm,
based on the things that I've done that you don't know about.
yeah.
Maybe some things may surface down the road. And again, creating closure is a little different because when you have definitive answers and Polaroids and things of that nature, closure is definitive. It's right there in front of you. When you
Right.
have to create your own, and that can look very ugly at times.
Yeah.
It can be very very dark place. And I'm really happy that I was able to make it through with the help of the village.
We'll get into the village in a minute, but do you feel that marriage counseling works, or do you feel that it's a good place to start before deciding whether you're going to get a divorce?
I think it's a good place to start. I think it's a healthy practice in general. Even if it's a marriage that's thriving, we're all going to hit some bumps in the road. Something your spouse does is going to rub you the wrong way, or you're going to go, why would you do that?
Right.
Because,
Right.
we're all coming from different, backgrounds. but I think it's a healthy place to check in from time to time, to have an objective party. Friends and family are tricky because
Mm,
friends and family have my best interest at heart. Her
right,
family has her best interest at
right.
heart, friends and so forth. So that's a dicey place to be as far as asking for relationship advice.
Hmm.
The marriage counselor, though he or she is, we are paying that person. My opinion is we're paying them to be objective on
Right,
both sides.
right. You want them to
So,
challenge you.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
to challenge you, to keep you honest, to keep you honest with each other. And so I think before a divorce happens, or before paperwork or conversations one-on-one happen, I think a check-in with a marriage counselor would be a great idea because they've seen it all. They
yeah.
know the objective questions to ask to see which direction this has to, it could potentially go, and if it's salvageable or not.
I know that I've had a friend of mine that went to counseling with her fiance before they got married.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, that's unusual. Does that mean you're having problems? They're like, no, we just have very different lifestyles. We were brought up differently. We have questions about when we have children. Do we have an at-home parent? Do we both work? What does that look like? How are we raising our children? A
Hmm.
lot of times you're not coordinated on how to discipline the children until you actually have them, and then you realize, wait a minute, we're completely opposite in how we discipline our kids.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of questions going into the marriage about how to handle things that might come up in the future. And I thought that was brilliant. But, it's kind of like a pre-marriage counseling session. And they went on for a few months so that when they actually went into the marriage, they had a lot of clarity. Now, I
Mhm.
can't say that 14 years later they didn't get a divorce, but it was for other reasons. They did a great job raising their kids. The kids are well adjusted, and they seemed happy throughout the time that they were together. So I think we don't often think of going to a marriage counselor before we get married, but it's good to have those discussions.
Agreed. It's, I'm a car guy, so I equate things to vehicles. Um, the marriage counselor before, or even periodically, once a month, once every 2 months,
Yeah,
I equate that to taking your car in for service.
right.
It's not going to just run smoothly because you changed the oil a year ago. No, you're going to have to get that old oil out. So you have to air out some dirty laundry, some grievances, what have you, talk
Yeah,
about them, and
yeah.
start over fresh and get back to zero. Um, the piece about them getting divorced eventually, and it was over different things. I had a very interesting take. Remember, I told you I was very young when I got married the first time. I had a very interesting take on divorce, a very naive, very cocky take on divorce. I thought people that got divorced just didn't try hard enough
Mm,
on the marriage. They
yeah.
weren't willing to do the work.
Hmm.
And that was a very arrogant approach about a subject I knew nothing about.
Hmm.
Once you go through these things, you find out, like our DNA, like our fingerprints, every relationship, every person in a relationship is different.
Yeah.
Some of these things are not, some of these relationships, I shouldn't refer to them as things, some of these relationships are not built to stand the test of time. But if you draw a strong foundation, a building, a tree, it'll grow, it'll bloom, it'll blossom, and it stands a better chance of going the distance.
I think a lot of the success for my personal relationship with my husband is that we really recognized when we needed to go see a therapist. And for us, when we communicate, a lot of times it's like this: we're saying the same thing, but we're not understanding each other, and we
Mhm.
get very frustrated to the point where we start arguing and repeating ourselves. And I think I'm conveying my message, but he's not hearing it, and vice versa. So we finally went in front of a therapist and they gave us some great techniques to communicate better. But I think one of the huge successes for our relationship is and this is what caused the breakup of my friends, is that they grew in opposite directions.
Mhm.
So one was very happy just being at home, dealing with the kids and having a smaller life, and the other one said, "No, I need something bigger than this." Of course, after not just raising my kids, but I need something bigger, and started pursuing those. things that whether it was getting more education or getting involved with various social groups or something like that, and realizing that they had outgrown each other.
Hmm.
So having seen that myself, I want to make sure that in my relationship I don't have that. And you know that my husband and I are 19 years apart. So there's a lot of growth on his side that I've already gone through. And I try to advise every now and then, and he has said, let me have my own experience. And I've had to back off and allow him to have that experience, make those mistakes, learn from them, be there to support him. And I'm an entrepreneur. He's not an entrepreneur. So he's allowed me to go ahead and said, I know you create businesses, go do it. It makes me nervous. I get scared of, that it might not work. But then we always sit down and figure out, well, okay, well, what's a worst case scenario? What if best case, worst case scenario? Is that worst case scenario okay with you? Are you comfortable with that? Yes. So he allows me to grow in the direction I want to grow in. I get excited to watch him grow in the direction he's going in and watch him blossom. So it's something that's really made our marriage strong, is to make sure that we are each allowing each other to grow as human beings, and then coming together and being able to celebrate and explore and delve into it. Goal setting is big for us as well.
Hmm.
What have you seen in your current relationship that allows you to know that you're going to be successful moving into the future?
Well, we're both very supportive of one another's goals
Right.
and aspirations. We're very encouraging. We're both artists you know, of our own kind. And it's when I create something, I bring it to my wife and I say, what do you think about this? And my mindset is because she's been doing the art far longer than I have, it has to pass the Kimberly test. If it doesn't pass the Kimberly test, maybe I need to go back to the drawing board. Now, what's interesting, the more I've gotten into it and doing art and kind of branching off and doing some different things, I ask that question less
Mm.
because I know where I want my vision to go.
Right.
Now I'll take, the advice and, do create little nuances around the suggestion. I'm not dismissive of those suggestions. At the same rate, I know what I want the finished product to look like most of the time, unless midway through it takes a different direction. And I have her support in doing so that when I'm done, she's like, "Oh wow, you are making, you know, widget boxes. These are amazing." You
Right.
know, what gave you, and then she asked a great question because I always ask this question of artists, what inspires you to make this piece?
Mm.
I wrote a book and in the book, the left page describes what inspired me to write the piece. The right page is the piece itself. So the
Yep.
reader can go back and forth and understand what the writer was going through that motivated them to write that piece. Um,
What's the name of that book? I'm going to plug you.
Silent Reflections,
And it can
Lamon
be
Wade
purchased where?
on Amazon.
Silent Reflections can be purchased on Amazon. I read the book. It's a book of poems, but like you said, the poems on one side and then the explanation as to what inspired you was on the other, which I thought was brilliant. So
Thank you.
very good book. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. No, it's so we're cr creative in our own different rights, and we're supportive of each other's creativity. And when you first start doing anything like you mentioned with your husband, if you start a new business or you're thinking about a new business or a podcast or whatever, it's very scary because you don't know anything about it. You know what you want the finished product to look like, but you don't know all the steps that it takes to get there. And sometimes the trial and error is how you learn how not to do something
Right.
in order to do it correctly.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, I know for me personally, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I fall into a category or a gutter of what if it does work?
Mm.
So my
What
fear
does
is
success
not
look like?
only of, I'm sorry.
What does success look like?
Exactly. My fear is not only a failure, my fear is sometimes a minute percentage of what if this works? Then what? What do I do now? And the answer to that is do more. But
Right.
my mindset is I can't change the past, and this goes to the relationship, the business, my current marriage. I can't change the past, so I always ask the question, armed with this information, what am I going to do next? So I think for a lot of people that are lost in the divorce, like I was, in the early stages, I've been with this person for a large portion of my life, more than half my life at the time. And I can't imagine life without this person, but I need to start imagining life with the person within, with myself, and what am I going to do next?
Hmm.
So tomorrow always was my biggest thing. Just make it through the night and get to tomorrow.
Hmm.
Endless possibilities.
And then she gives you the space to grow and to create and to be able to dream about tomorrow and
Absolutely.
not be judged by it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
Or yesterday. Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Well, what advice can you give to our audience? You've given, well, first of all, you've given a lot of great advice, but I want to know if there's any additional advice that you could give to our audience.
My favorite piece of advice is a quote from Hamlet from Shakespeare.
Right.
I picked this up years ago. I've passed this on to people, and I remind myself of it frequently-ish. This above all, to thine own self be true. If you are true to yourself to begin with, everything else should fall in line. If you compromise yourself in a relationship early on, you're going to always have to make that compromise because your partner is going to think that is you at your true nature. Be your true self in every facet, and people will resonate toward you. But you talked about the time between marriages. I did a little bit of dating, and I was always curious to know, was I meeting the genuine person or was I meeting their representative?
Mhm.
And I would always ask the question, they're eating with the right fork. They're saying please and thank you. They're doing all the things that it takes to get the second date or third date or what have you. Is this a charade? Is this a masquerade? Or is this the genuine article?
Right.
So as long as you're true to self, you can see through those things and you can question that in the other person. So that would be my biggest thing. Just find your happy for yourself, and then others will want to join in that because they'll say, "Hey, this guy's having a great time. I want to be a part of that.
Right.
I want to be his partner. I want to help him enjoy that joy
Yeah.
every day."
I mean, how many songs say, "Oh, you light up my life. You are the joy in my life. Without
Mhm.
you, I have no joy." It's all about this enabling part of the
Yes,
relationship. Like, I can't be happy unless you're here. And I just think of those words. I'm like, whoa, how about you just be happy whether they're there or not? And that they enhance that happiness, but don't create that happiness necessarily. And I think there's a healthy distinction between the enabling side and then the healthy side of the relationship. And I think you've nailed it, is that if you're a happy person, people
Mhm.
will want to be with happy people, but they have to be happy. They have to be happy themselves, so that when you're together, you're not you're feeding off of each other, but you don't rely on it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I was interviewing for a sales job, and the lady interviewing me says, "Lamon, what motivates you?" And I could sense that thought I was going to say money motivates me. So
Right.
I threw a curveball. And again, money has its place. I threw a curveball, and it turns out the curveball was how I really feel. I told her, I motivate me. I make me happy.
Mhm.
Because if you're my source of happiness and motivation every day, and you decide to take the day off, I'll fall over. I'm lost. I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I have to find that joy, happiness, motivation within
Yeah.
before I can move on with anyone else.
Great words. I have to ask. I ask this of everybody in my audience, everybody I interview, so that my audience hears it. What's your secret power?
My secret power, yeah, that's easy. Passion.
And what does
I,
that look like?
passion looks like building it, breaking it down, and building it again.
Mm.
Passion looks like fun, joy, happiness. It looks like the thing I'm involved in is the most important thing that I'm dealing with now. I and I want it to look great. Years ago in sales, I was in a dentist's office and he had a success read on the wall, and it said, "The job you do is a reflection of yourself. Why not create a masterpiece?"
Absolutely.
And that is tattooed in my brain. And I use that in jewelry making, writing, walking down the street with my wife hand in hand.
Yep.
If you're not passionate about what you're involved in, perhaps you shouldn't be involved in that particular venture.
There's my business coach, Brian Buffini, comes from a family of painters from Ireland.
Mhm.
And his father taught him when he was very young that can you point to the house after you've done a job and said, I can put my name on that. Like that
Correct.
job is so good that I can put my name on that. And he says, how does that apply towards our businesses, towards ourselves? Are you putting out the best of you every day that you can say, I did that, not out of arrogance, but out of the satisfaction of knowing that you put 100% of your time and energy in making that the best it could possibly be. So that's in line with what you're saying to us as well. Be passionate.
Yeah, that's my passion is my superpower,
I love it.
and
Any
there is
last,
no kryptonite.
there you go. Any last words for our audience?
Oh, Ron, I just want to take the time to thank you for allowing me to share my experiences. I really hope my experiences can help other people that are struggling with divorce, trying to live past the divorce, that are lost, don't quite know what to do. There are great services that you guys provide, and make sure you turn the noise off before you start listening to what's really going on. Your friends and family are going to have opinions, and they do have your best interests at heart. At the same rate, their relationship is not the measuring stick for what your relationship should be. You get to dictate that, and just find that happy with yourself. Play with the little kid inside. He or she wants to come out and play, and let them.
Right. And create your community.
Exactly.
Yeah. But beyond your family, have a good support team. And that's you mentioned our benefits. So the what our membership allows for 3 free mental health care sessions with discounted sessions thereafter, specifically for people who need to get in front of a therapist who might not be able to afford it. We have resources for both men and women as far as male divorce coaches, male therapists. We have men's support groups that are out there. If you go to any of our social medias, you're going to see our podcasts where I'm on it for either being interviewed on a group for men, support group for men, or something like that. So definitely go to our resources and seek out what you need. It's there, and that's part of the $19 a month membership fee, which I'm going to ask for you to join for only $19 a month. And then you'll learn about Support Insured, which is the insurance product that guarantees a child support and alimony protection. Well, Lamon, I really want to thank you for being with us today and showing that there is life after divorce, that doing the hard work actually enables you to have a healthier relationship moving into the future. So hearing it from your perspective can help our audience, and I appreciate you being here.
I love you having me, Ron, anytime.
You got it, sir. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Cut the recording off.